My name is Charla Replogle, and I am a PhD candidate under Dr. Aaron Smith at Purdue University. And today I'll be discussing some of my research and all of the amazing things that I've been able to do with the support of the Coleoptera Society through the Graduate Student Research Enhancement Award and the new Taxonomic Research at Beetle Collections grant. My PhD research focuses on a small tribe in the family Tenebrionidae, commonly known as darkling beetles. Tenebrionidae contains 11 subfamilies comprising between 20,000 and 30,000 species. The subfamily Tenebrionidae has been consistently recovered as polyphyletic in several phylogenetic and phylogenomic papers and is in need of heavy taxonomic revision. Bolitophagini, the tribe that I'm focusing on for my PhD work, is basal within the subfamily, and they're really cool. I'm biased, but they are a cosmopolitan tribe that contains 21 extant genera with 127 species, and it is also one of 3 mycetophagous tribes within the family. This means that they eat fungi, specifically the fruiting bodies of the fungi in the order Polyporales, also known as polypores or shelf fungi, which are wood rotting. As obligate fungivores, bolitophagines tunnel through polypores and create galleries, where multiple life stages can be found together until the polypore is eventually spent, at which point they exit and go find a new one. As you can imagine, bolitophagines are important in the decomposition cycle of both polypores and trees. They're more commonly found, or at a higher diversity, in older growth forests, and they're also pretty morphologically diverse. For my PhD, I'm revising the generic limits of the tribe using both morphological and phylogenetic methods. So why revise Bolitophagini? Well, the mean time since any bolitophagine genera have been described is 112 years, and most genera have not been revised since their initial descriptions. Currently, the tribe is primarily grouped via larval morphology, with adult morphology being less concrete, with multiple characters being highly variable. Multiple alpha taxonomic acts have been performed in the past 50 years, yet the generic limits within the tribe remain poorly defined, leading to questionably placed taxa that render the tribe and several genera paraphyletic in my most recent phylogenetic analyses, as you can see here. In order to revise the tribe, I need additional fresh and museum specimens to further fill out my phylogeny. Additionally, I need access to generic type species specimens and a large swath of specimens from across the range of the tribe for my biogeographic studies. I've also built a catalog of the tribe, and while doing so, one of the genera kind of caught my eye as another area that needed revision. Another of my PhD chapters is revising the second largest genus in the tribe, which is Bolitonaeus. The genus Bolitonaeus was described by George Lewis in 1894, who differentiated it based primarily on antennal characters. So why does Bolitonaeus need revision? In the 28 years between Gibbon's species lists in 1911 and 1939, the number of species in the genus increased by 11. All 11 of these species were described by the same man in his self-published journal, almost all of them actually in the same publication. And that man was the French entomologist Maurice Pic. And all of his species descriptions kind of looked like this example. They're very short and only discuss characters common to the genus, not really useful for species delimitation. After 1932, no new Bolitonaeus were described until 2010, and since 2010, 9 new species have been added, bringing the pre-revision total to 25 species. While Bolitonaeus has received small regional treatments and new species, the genus has not been treated as a whole since its initial description. Several authors have noted that peak species are most likely problematic, but no concentrated effort has been made to really remedy that. Would you have guessed that this is the species he was describing with that previous description? I wouldn't have either. So it's really cute though. In building my catalog, I realized that a large amount of type specimens that I needed access to for my revision were at a handful of collections. Due to the way that things are right now, sending precious types across the Atlantic isn't really the preferred option. So I was resolved to get myself to the United Kingdom and Europe. Coincidentally, our lab had also recently invested in upgrading our portable camera system to be more lightweight and quick and easy to set up and take down. So while I initially planned to visit an additional two collections in Europe, they didn't end up working out in the time frame that I'd hoped for, which just means that I have to go back to Europe again. Oh no, poor me. Um, but through the support of the Coleoptera Society, I was able to fund a trip to the Natural History Museum in London, and I also was able to have an extended trip where I was able to visit the Natural History Museum in Paris, the Natural History Museum of Stuttgart, and the Munich State Zoological Collection. So I spent a week at the Natural History Museum in London, photographing type specimens, going through the large wealth of undetermined material, and due to an electrical outage at the airport, I even got an extra day to go through the museum on the visitor side. And in total, I was able to borrow six generic type species specimens. I photographed 19% of Bolitophagini species type specimens, and I borrowed 527 non-type specimens. Here is just a small sample of the insane number of photographs I took while visiting the Paris collection. This is a kind of busy slide, but I really just wanted to show off all of the peak species. These are current 9 peak species that are still in the genus, though you'll notice that I'll be making some synonymies in the future. So Bolitoneus longidentatus and Bolitoneus brevidentatus are actually just major and minor males of the same species. They both have this tridentate clipial horn that's pretty unique, along with other similarities. Bolitoneus quadridentatus is also a pretty unmistakable member of this genus, with 4 clipial horns or denticles and 2 pronotal horns, which is thus far unique to the genus. So the synonymy of bicornutus is pretty obvious. And it's a similar story with Bolitoneus nasalis and robustus. The wide, blunted clipial shelf and the broad, transverse pronotal horns it's really unique and hard to mistake with any of the conigers. Although robustus is like a pretty good name, I will not lie about that. And multiple of peak species are indeed unique. Bolitoneus grandis is huge. This slide is not to scale, but Bolitoneus grandis is 9 millimeters long, not including the horns, when the average Bolitoneus is about 4 to 5 millimeters, so about double the size of most of the other species. And the picture doesn't do it justice, but Bolitoneus laminatus is a clipial horn is actually a fifth of its body length. It's huge. And I'm still currently scrutinizing the bottom 3 species. They're on the chopping block, so to speak. Bolitoneus truncatus, I am not unconvinced that that's just a female of one of the other species. I need more time with it, you know? I spent the majority of my time in Stuttgart going through Roland Grimm and Wolfgang Schwaller's collections, as well as their main collection. Grimm and Schwaller's collaboration with other Tenebrionidae workers also meant that I was able to photograph paratypes of 5 additional Bolitoneus species, which is really exciting. And I was also able to photograph the type species for the genera Microatastalis and Microbolitoneus. I was lucky to be able to borrow 224 specimens, which greatly increased the amount of Bornean material that I've been able to borrow. And in my off time, I hiked up Birkenkopf and visited the Stuttgart City Library, both of which are just gorgeous. The Munich State Zoological Collection was really incredible. The facilities are super sleek and they have automatic shelf compactors, which was amazing. I loved it. And I was also able to spend time just going through a lot of different individual collections. And then I actually had a good amount of time to just sit at the microscope with specimens, which was really nice. I was very heavily focused on photography on a good portion of this trip. And so being able to actually just sit down with specimens was a nice change of pace. And I was able to take like really good notes and just have a lot of time locked in. Uh, and I was also able to borrow 131 specimens from Munich, which is great. So, in total, through both the taxonomic research at Beetle Collections Grant and the Graduate Student Research Enhancement Award, I was able to uh, photograph and or borrow the type species for 10 Bolitophagini genera, which is about 48% of the tribe, which is it's good. Including both photographs of type specimens and borrowed material. Through both of these trips, I have accounted for 56% of the tribe's total species, which across 2 trips, I'm ecstatic about this. I'm so happy. For my revision of the genus Bolitoneus, I borrowed and or photographed 18 of the 25 species, which is 72% of the genus. And finally, I borrowed 882 specimens, with many representatives from the Indo-Malayan biogeographic realm. Before these trips, I had an Indo-Malayan shaped hole in my data, which is now fixed. That's great. I had a lot of North and South American stuff and some Palearctic material, so that was absolutely what I needed. And with that, I would like to thank my advisor, Dr. Aaron Smith, Dr. Chris Worth, Purdue's Entomological Research Collection Manager, the Coleoptera Society for supporting me with both of these grants and allowing me to make such leaps and strides in my research in one go. And I would like to thank Max Barclay, Dmitry Telnov, Antoine Mentiati, Maxime Bouton, Arnaud Faye, Aaron Bellersheim, Ditta Bulk, and Michael Bulk for hosting me and allowing me to borrow specimens. And with that, I'd love to take any questions. Thank you.